If you have kids that play running or jumping or cutting sports, why wouldn't you have them do an exercise program to lower the chance of suffering an ACL injury? I'm Dr. David, orthopedic surgeon and sports medicine specialist, and I provide education, information, and commentary on all sorts of sports and exercise, injuries and injury treatments and injury prevention for athletes and active people so that you can stay healthy and perform your best. I'm really passionate about ACL injury prevention programs because I think they're really hard injuries to overcome. I do about 100, maybe more ACL reconstructions every year, and I love it, don't get me wrong, but it's really hard on the patient. Not too long ago, I had a high school athlete that played on one of the best soccer teams in South Carolina. And he was a sophomore or junior and was absolutely devastated when I told him that he basically suffered his injury was an ACL tear after I saw him for a knee injury. Now, yes, they're more common in female athletes, but they happen in male athletes too. But I mean, he was devastated. You could see his eyes watering. He was trying to hold back the tears. This was right before the playoffs started. Now, he had surgery and it all turned out great, but it was almost a year before he was back out on the field and missed that whole playoff run, and the team missed him because he was one of the best players on the team. So it's a really difficult injury. So if there's a chance that you could prevent those injuries, why wouldn't you? It's not even necessarily avoiding surgery, it's avoiding that year out of sports and missing the time with your friends and feeling isolated from your friends. It's the risk of potentially having a second injury, because we think over your life, if you've suffered one ACL tear, you have about a 20% chance of either tearing that knee's graft, essentially suffering a second injury in that knee, or tearing the opposite knee's ACL. And that doesn't even take into account the higher chances of developing arthritis down the road. So you want to avoid an ACL injury if you possibly can. And so there are these series of exercises basically that replace your normal warm-up exercises. They take anywhere from about 5 to maybe at most 10-15 minutes to do, and basically athletes do them every single day at the beginning of practice instead of their warm-ups. They're not physically demanding, they're like warm-ups, but they involve landing properly and turning properly and developing coordination and neuromuscular skills so that you land properly in games and you turn properly in games. Now, it's not just a matter of doing it once, you have to do it over and over. Honestly, I would tell you, you start at 7, 8 years old and you do it the rest of your career, at least before practices and before games. And we think that that decreases your risk of an ACL injury. Some studies show as low as 40%, some show as high as 70 or 80% decrease in the rates of ACL tears. Yes, I know there are people that aren't really believers in it. I know the coaches resist it because it's one more thing that potentially takes them, takes time during practice, even though I would argue, again, you've got to warm up. You might as well do it in a way that lowers your risk of ACL tears. But if you can avoid one of these injuries, I think it's really, really important. I talk a lot about not just ACL injuries, but these injury prevention programs in my latest book, That's Gotta Hurt, The Injuries That Change Sports Forever. I talk about how ACL injuries are really common in one particular group of elite athletes. It's really, I think, a fascinating story, and one that if your kids play sports, I think especially soccer, you may want to read this, if for any other reason, to hear about how one group of athletes has really been affected by this injury. But then we get into everything about injury prevention programs, because yes, I love doing these surgeries, but if we can basically prevent the injury from happening in the first place, that's much better for you. So get that book, read it, and consider doing or having your kids doing one of these ACL injury prevention programs. Below this video, there's a link to a page that'll take you to the order forms. tghbook.com. That's Gotta Hurt book. tghbook.com. You'll find links to the order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Indiegogo, Powell's, basically anywhere that you want to order the book, it'll get delivered directly to you. And then if you order before June 6th, you can take that basically in the email confirmation that they send you. There'll be an order number. Come back to tghbook.com, enter that order number, and again, if it's before June 6th, you'll get all kinds of great information, great, really, content that can help you, and it's completely free. eBooks, courses, really helpful stuff, all completely free. So if your kids play sports, or if you just like to exercise or play sports yourself, I think it can be really helpful to keep you injury-free, basically staying safe and performing your best. I think you'll love it. That's Gotta Hurt, the injuries that change sports forever. Thank you so much for watching. If you have friends who have kids who play any of these types of sports, football, basketball, soccer, volleyball, any sport that involves running or jumping, please share this video with them so they can watch it and learn about doing these programs for their kids. And I look forward to seeing you right here next time.